You're listening to Power 750 WAUG and online at power750.com. If you're looking for affordable health and insurance coverage, well then give Jonica Rowland of the Rowland Group a call. She's here to serve families, individuals, and small businesses. Contact her at 919-719-7211 or at 919-539-2492. Once again, contact Jonica Rowland of the Rowland Group. Good Saturday morning, and thank you for tuning in once again to the Babe Tom Herman Show with your host here, Herman Thomas. And once again, we're going to go into our topic of conversation. Can the NCAA reform itself? Once again, can the NCAA reform itself? Now, before we go into that phase of the program, we're going to just advise you to keep up, in order to keep up with your favorite ACC schools, in particular the Big Four schools, if you want to call it Big Five, but I said Big Four plus one. Wake Forest, Demon Deacons, NC State Wolfpack, UNC Tar Heels, Duke Blue Devils, and the North Carolina Central Eagles. If you want to keep up with the ACC schedule as far as the scheduling, also men and women included, you can go to theacc.com, and also for North Carolina Central, NCCUEaglePride.com. Once again, that's NCCUEaglePride.com. Welcome back to the Babe Tom Herman Show. Once again with your host here, Herman Thomas. And if you haven't joined us the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about the very important topic, can the NCAA reform itself? In particular, we've been going over a study that was done by the NCPA, that's National College Players Association, along with their president, Ramogi Huma, who was a former linebacker for the UCLA Bruins, along with Drexel University Department of Sports Management with Professor Dr. Ellen Stworski. Now, what this report is, basically this joint study is blaming the NCAA rules for creating a black market plagued with scandals. If you don't know what is current scandals that's going on, one that has had us in a buzz last season or prior to the last football season was the Miami Hurricane scandal. Certainly it's still under investigation, so the school or the NCAA is not really going into details much about it, but it doesn't look good for that particular program. Also, we talked about the article that was written by Taylor Branch in the Atlantic. If you wanted to read that article during your leisure, you could go to it at theatlantic.com. And what Taylor, and the interesting point that Taylor calls his articles the shame of college sports, and a bulk of his article used the joint study by the NCPA as well as Drexel University. It was very good. It was a very great article. It opened my eyes to a lot of things. One thing that it opened my eyes to was that I can't lie and say that I haven't said on plenty of occasions that athletes need to shut up. They're getting a free ride. Not necessarily, because we found out from this study that the NCAA itself mandates a cap, meaning basically that all the athletic scholarships are not fully funded, which leaves the average Division I basketball and football player coming up about $3,000 short. That's a shame, is the millions that they are helping the NCAA as well as the schools make, that they shouldn't be paying anything. It opened my eyes to it. I thought, that changed my eyes a lot. Also, what opened my eyes was that the scholarships being offered were just year to year, 1 year scholarships. So, that opened my eyes that what's preventing, and I'm not disrespecting any NCAA D1 school in this area, North Carolina State Wolfpack, the UNC Tar Heels, Duke Blue Devils, Wake Forest Demon Deacons, or the North Carolina Central Eagles. I'm not trying to say anything bad in reference to those schools. Those are fine institutions. But as a whole, what would be stopping most NCAA schools if a athlete was permanently injured from just, nullifying a scholarship and leaving that athlete on its own, basically? What's stopping it? There's nothing currently in place to stop it. And we went over 3 major lawsuits that are getting the NCAA's attention, possibly getting them into that mode, that talking mode. They used to be in a hush mode where it was my way or the highway, but now they're getting more into the talking mode. The first lawsuit, which is known as the Ed O'Bannon suit. Please, and once again, I don't want to be repetitious, but if you want to listen to past episodes on this topic, just feel free to go to YouTube, to my channel at Babe Tom Herman. That's BABETHOM Herman, HERMAN. You can actually listen to those past recordings of this great show, and it will enlighten you to a lot. So I'm not going to go back in depth with that. Once again, you can go to the YouTube channel Babe Tom Herman, and you can just bring yourself up to date of the topic of can the NCAA reform itself. Also, if you want to contact me directly, feel free to send me an email at babetomherman@yahoo.com. Now, there's the Ed O'Bannon suit, the Joseph Agnew lawsuit, and the Ed O'Bannon suit, just to be short with it, basically using the players' images and likenesses or former collegiate players, and Ed O'Bannon, who starred for the 1995 basketball national championship NCAA team, the UCLA Bruins. He's basically stating that he should be getting paid along with former collegiate players if the NCAA is using their likenesses, images on video games, trading cards, and so forth. Now, also the second one, the Joseph Agnew lawsuit. Basically, a group of athletes, along with Joseph Agnew, challenged the NCAA rules that can lead to termination of scholarships before the athletes can graduate. Okay, like I stated last week, that case was dismissed with prejudice in September, barring appeal. Now, Agnew can't replead the case, but others can, and I think this particular lawsuit got the NCAA's attention right quick, because in October of last year, NCAA President Mark Emmert and the board put on the or basically put on the table that he wants the NCAA Division I schools to support, and the college presidents to support, multi-year scholarships. And I think that's very important, and that's caught their eyes, because if it didn't, trust me, they wouldn't be initiating that change. Even though the lawsuit was dropped, a month later he brings that back on the table. Now, also, 3 football players and a soccer player, the third major lawsuit that may have gotten the NCAA's attention, is that 3 players, football players and a soccer player, contend that the NCAA has failed to set standards for awareness, diagnosis, and the treatments from concussions. Now, these, you may be asking, well, what does this have to do with anything? It has to do a lot, because lawsuits could lead to disclosure of enormous NCAA income. Also, a new structure of athletic scholarships that includes payments in some forms, and of course, a new system of preventing concussions. Like I stated in October of last year, also along with the NCAA President Mark Emmert suggesting, I must say, along with the multi-year scholarships, he's also put on the table to give athletes an additional $2,000 stipend, or rather, give them a $2,000 stipend for living costs not covered by scholarships. Now, after at least 125 schools objected to this, on December the 15th, the NCAA suspended the plans to initiate that one. You may ask yourself, why would they object? And I can understand the FCS schools, the smaller schools, not the FBS, but I'm talking about the smaller school, the FC as in Charles, S schools, like a North Carolina Central. I'm not saying that they objected, because I don't know at this time who agreed to it and who objected, but I'm just using North Carolina Central as an example. You know good and well the athletic program is not pulling in anywhere near what the Big Four schools, local AC schools are. You would just imagine a team that size. That's where the objections are coming from, mostly are, according to reports, from the smaller schools, because simply they don't have that money budgeted to pay an additional, or pay the additional $2,000 stipend, and also along with the multi-year scholarships, because basically a lot of coaches use the FCS as a starting point to further their career. They use it as a beginning point, and a lot of the coaches just simply are not going to stay around long. They might stay around for a couple of years until they get offers from bigger schools, and what happens is their concern, and rightfully so, their concern is, maybe I as a coach am leaving to go to a major school, D1 school, but I like the option power option offense. I like basically that type of offense. The coach after me might like he wants a better quarterback. He don't want an option quarterback. But then in turn, he's looking to recruit. The new coach wants a passing, a better strategic passing plan. So of course he wants a quarterback that can fill those needs. So what happens to what initially happens if you sign that option quarterback to a multi-year scholarship, then you can understand where that coach is coming from. Then I don't have the personnel at a smaller school I might not have enough scholarships available to get the quarterback I want. So I do understand the resistance, and there's also resistance for the multi-year scholarships. They are already struck down the $2,000 additional stipend, but there's also resistance coming for the multi-year scholarships. And like I just said earlier, I can agree certainly with the smaller FCS schools that are resisting. The majority of them are resisting this plan. Also, according to this study that from the I think it's from the 2009 Knight Commission, if I'm not mistaken, reporting or revealing that 95 football subdivision schools, and that's your bigger schools like Texas, North Carolina, and so forth. College presidents admitted that the college presidents admitted to actually lack the power to reform the NCAA. That itself is telling you that if 95 of the 120 college presidents in the FBS system feel powerless to reform, then I hate to see it happen. But ultimately the government, and when I mean the government, I mean Congress, and more than likely the Department of Justice, are going to have to get involved in some form or fashion. They're going to have to. The NCPA, National College Players Association, is pushing for the NCAA to finally fulfill its commitment to fully support the education of football. And they're recommending this now in basketball players by allowing them to receive athletic scholarships that are truly fully funded. Currently, the NCAA rules leave with the shortfall being that they mandate that a cap be put on scholarships that is not fully funded. That leaves the average scholarship athlete with a shortfall of $3,000 a year. Why in the world should an athlete bringing in millions to schools, and not just schools, but first and foremost to the NCAA, have to pay a dime when most of the money and all of the money revenue is generated from the hard work and sweat of these players? So while the NCAA caps, like I stated, while they cap this, the NCPA is asking for new revenue. The old men's basketball contract, let me inform you, the old contract paid out $545 million per year, and this is from Final Four basketball March Madness. Now the new contract will give the NCAA an approximate, that's a $10.8 billion deal signed with CBS Internal Sports. This will give the NCAA an average of about $771 million per year. That's approximately $225 million per year in new revenue. So they're not asking for any old revenue that's been budgeted. They're asking for new revenue that hasn't had time to be budgeted. The NCAA's, I don't know why they are turning their heads on a lot of this. They offered the 2,000, that's still going to leave 1,000, average of 1,000 shortfall, but they're resisting this for whatever reason. But I think it's crazy because the the NCPA's plan would require only $52 million each year to go towards D1 football and basketball players. The $3,000 scholarship increase needed basically to cover the cost of attendance at their schools. And also, now women don't feel left out. They're also pushing for an additional $52 million per year to go towards women's sports to help comply with Title IX requirements. So please don't feel left out. We don't want our female athletes to feel left out whatsoever. Now that would cost the NCAA only $104 million per year out of the $225 million new revenue. Now this is just from basketball. We're not even talking about football. Let's not even discuss that. That'll even give you a bigger headache. With the millions signed with major conferences, that'll give you a billion headache, just a billion-size headache. But this money also will be allocated. You might ask yourself a question. You might be a student at North Carolina Central or athlete and say, well, what the heck does that have to do with me? This money will also be allocated